Before you choose a symbol, let me ask you something uncomfortable. What if the part of you that you hide the most is actually the part controlling your decisions? Carl Jung believed that every human being carries a shadow, a hidden side shaped by fear, desire, rejection, and unspoken emotion. And most people go their entire lives without realizing how much that shadow influences their relationships, their habits, even the way they react to love and loneliness. In a moment, you'll see 4 symbols on your screen. Don't overthink it. Don't analyze it logically. Just choose the one that pulls you in instantly, the one that feels strangely familiar or slightly disturbing. Your choice won't reveal something random. It will reflect a feeling you've been carrying beneath the surface, one that Jung warned us about. And by the end of this video, you won't just understand your dark side. You'll understand how to use it instead of being controlled by it. If you chose symbol 1, this wasn't random. Jung would say your unconscious made that decision before your conscious mind even tried to justify it. Symbol 1 represents suppressed loneliness, not the obvious kind, not the kind where someone sits alone in a dark room. This is the silent loneliness, the kind that exists even when you're surrounded by people. You've learned to function independently. You don't ask for help easily. You pride yourself on being self-sufficient. But deep down, there's a quiet belief that relying on others leads to disappointment. Somewhere in your past, connection felt unsafe. Maybe you opened up and weren't understood. Maybe you needed someone who wasn't emotionally available. So your shadow adapted. It whispered, "Handle it yourself. Don't expect too much." And you listened. Jung believed that what we repress doesn't disappear, it transforms. In your case, loneliness transformed into strength. You became resilient, observant, emotionally controlled. But here's the part most people don't realize. Excessive self-reliance can slowly build invisible walls. You tell yourself you don't need validation. You convince yourself you prefer solitude. Yet when someone truly sees you, it feels uncomfortable. Vulnerability feels unfamiliar. And that discomfort is your shadow trying to protect you from old wounds. The danger isn't being alone. The danger is believing you must always be. But here's the powerful truth Jung taught. The shadow is not your enemy. It's undeveloped potential. The loneliness you suppress is actually your capacity for deep connection. The reason you crave meaningful conversations instead of small talk is because your emotional depth is stronger than average. The reason surface-level relationships exhaust you is because you were built for something real. Symbol 1 doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've survived by being strong. Now the lesson is balance. Strength without isolation. Independence without emotional distance. And here's the question you need to sit with. Are you choosing solitude? Or are you avoiding vulnerability? The moment you can answer that honestly, you stop being controlled by your shadow, and you start integrating it. And that changes everything. If you chose symbol 2, Jung would say you're not afraid of the dark. You're afraid of losing control. This symbol represents suppressed anger. Not explosive rage, but controlled, calculated intensity. You are someone who values composure. In public, you appear rational, logical, measured. But deep inside, there's a current of frustration you rarely show. You learned early that expressing anger had consequences. Maybe it created conflict. Maybe it pushed people away. So your shadow adapted. Instead of reacting, you internalized. Instead of confronting, you endured. And over time, that endurance became part of your identity. Here's what most people misunderstand. Suppressed anger doesn't disappear, transforms, can turn into sarcasm, into emotional distance, into quiet resentment that builds without warning. You may tell yourself you're just tired of drama, but Jung warned that what we refuse to acknowledge gains power in the unconscious. The more you deny your anger, the more it influences your tone, your boundaries, even your attraction patterns. You might feel drawn to intense personalities, people who express what you don't allow yourself to. But this is where it shifts. Your anger is not weakness, it's energy. It's a signal that something matters deeply to you. The problem isn't the emotion, it's the repression. Symbol 2 reveals that you have strong convictions, strong values, a powerful internal compass. When integrated, this intensity becomes leadership. It becomes clarity. It becomes the ability to set boundaries without guilt. The shadow only becomes destructive when ignored. So here's the real question. Are you calm or are you contained? There's a difference. And once you learn to express your anger consciously instead of suppressing it unconsciously, you stop being ruled by it. Stay with that thought, because what comes next might explain more than you expect. If you chose symbol 3, Jung would say your shadow is tied to approval, not because you're weak, but because you learned that being accepted meant being safe. This symbol represents the fear of rejection hidden beneath competence. On the surface, you appear adaptable. You read the room well. You know how to adjust your tone, your humor, even your opinions depending on who you're around. People describe you as easygoing, likable, socially intelligent. But here's what they don't see. The silent calculation happening in your mind. The subtle question you ask yourself in new environments. How do I need to show up to belong here? At some point in your life, authenticity felt risky. Maybe you expressed a strong opinion and were criticized. Maybe you were too different, too emotional, too ambitious. So your shadow stepped in to protect you. Said, blend in, be agreeable, stay accepted. And it worked. You avoided conflict. You maintained connections. But Jung warned that when we over-identify with our persona, the mask we show the world, we slowly disconnect from who we really are. The danger isn't that you care about people. The danger is forgetting your own center. Here's the part most people miss. Your desire for approval is actually proof of emotional depth. You value connection. You value harmony. You understand people. But when that strength becomes self-silencing, resentment quietly builds. You may feel exhausted after social gatherings. You may replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the right thing. That's not insecurity. That's fragmentation between your persona and your authentic self. Symbol 3 is not exposing weakness. It's revealing growth potential. When you stop shaping yourself to fit every room, you begin attracting rooms that fit you. The question is uncomfortable but powerful. Are people accepting the real you or the version you present? Once you answer that honestly, you reclaim something you didn't realize you gave away. If you chose symbol 4, Jung would say your shadow is connected to control, not control over others, but control over uncertainty. This symbol represents the fear of chaos hidden beneath ambition. You are someone who plans, who anticipates, who thinks 3 steps ahead. Structure gives you comfort. Productivity gives you identity. When life feels organized, you feel stable. But when something unexpected happens, even something small, it unsettles you more than you admit. Not because you're fragile, but because unpredictability feels like vulnerability. At some point, instability marked you. Maybe it was emotional inconsistency from someone you depended on. Maybe it was sudden change that forced you to grow up fast. Your shadow learned a powerful lesson. If I stay prepared, I stay safe. And so you built discipline. You built standards. You built self-control. From the outside, it looks impressive, driven, focused, reliable. But Jung warned that when control becomes identity, flexibility disappears. And without flexibility, anxiety quietly grows in the background. Here's what makes this deeper. Your need for control is actually a sign of high awareness. You see patterns others miss. You anticipate risks others ignore. That's strength. But when you try to control outcomes, people, or timelines too tightly, you carry invisible pressure. You may struggle to relax. You may feel restless when you're not progressing toward something. Stillness can feel uncomfortable because it removes the illusion of control. Symbol 4 isn't exposing a flaw. It's revealing undeveloped trust. Growth for you isn't about becoming less disciplined. It's about allowing space for uncertainty without seeing it as threat. Ask yourself honestly, are you leading your life or trying to manage it? The moment you accept that not everything can be predicted, you stop fighting reality, and you start mastering it from within. No matter which symbol you chose, here's the truth Jung wanted people to confront. Your dark side is not a flaw in your personality. It is unfinished awareness. Every emotion you suppress, every reaction you don't fully understand, Every pattern that repeats in your relationships is not random. It's information. The shadow isn't evil. It isn't something to eliminate. It's the part of you that developed strategies to survive when you didn't yet have the tools to understand what you were feeling. And survival strategies, while powerful, are not meant to become permanent identities. The real danger isn't having a shadow. Every human being does. The real danger is projecting it, blaming others for what we refuse to see in ourselves. When you call someone too distant, too emotional, too controlling, or too sensitive, pause for a second. Jung believed what irritates us most in others often reflects something unresolved within us. That's not an accusation. It's an invitation, because the moment you recognize your shadow, it loses its unconscious grip. Awareness transforms reaction into choice. This is where personal power begins. Not in perfection, not in pretending to be endlessly positive, but in integration. When you accept your loneliness, your anger, your need for approval, or your desire for control, you stop being divided internally. And when you are no longer divided, your decisions become clearer. Your relationships become more authentic. Your confidence becomes quieter, but stronger. So the reflection I want you to sit with is simple but not easy. What part of yourself have you been managing instead of understanding? The answer to that question may feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the doorway to self-knowledge. And once you step through it, you don't just discover your dark side, you discover your depth. If this video made you reflect in a way you didn't expect, make sure you subscribe right now, because this channel is about understanding the parts of yourself most people ignore. Leave a like so this message reaches someone else who needs to confront their shadow. And I want you to comment below the number of the symbol you chose. 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'll be reading to see how many of you resonate with each one. If you're ready to go deeper into your personality and uncover more about how your mind really works, watch the video appearing on your screen right now and explore the full playlist linked in the card. Don't stop here. Self-knowledge is a process, and the next insight might change the way you see yourself completely.